Okay, so we are unmuted.
Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to the May 2025 Chouteau County Board of Trustee meeting. Hold this meeting to order at 12:04. Is that close enough? Okay, I need to say something. I would like to apologize for my reaction to the microphones given me prior to the March 25th. March 2025 meeting. I don't like surprises, and the microphones were a change in the order of our meeting and had not have been discussed or agreed upon by our board prior to this meeting. While initiative to provide the microphones was taken by our director, this type of change in the meeting process did need to be discussed and agreed upon the board. However, in the interest of giving everyone the ability to participate, I guess I'm not talking earlier, we do have microphones present today. We welcome public comment and encourage community input. Agendas are available at the door. Please understand these comments periods are one-way communication if you talk. During public comment opportunities, if you wish to give input, please come up. Well, we didn't get a microphone. We could give you a microphone. Yeah,
There are two.
over there. Address the chairman and state your name and limit your comment to 3 minutes. Okay. We are going to start right away with adding, let's see, call to order changes. Oh,
I haven't changed the agenda.
when did you? Okay,
When did it, what?
new business.
That's the minutes from the
Add-
last.
Add the, oh, shoot. Those new minutes have been bugging me. Okay, call to order. There are two changes. Janet, you want to go first?
Yes, I would like to add a policy. We actually discussed it at the meeting last month in January, when Jesselyn talked about the public information request policy. So I would like to add that. I imagine now it's old business since we already talked about it. Can we have a motion to add the policy to our?
To
Agenda.
unfinished business?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have a, yes, can we have a motion?
I move we add the public information request policy to the unfinished business.
I second.
Okay, all in favor of the new motion for the public, whatever? Yes, and say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay? Oh, was that Jess? Are you there?
Yeah, I think I'm still supposed to vote, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry, I sound terrible.
No, you do sound a little like you got something going on there, girl. Are you on the couch? Oh, she didn't talk about it. Okay, then I have another change. I wish to put, from last meeting, it said we would have a, closed session for an employee. It says a board member asked for an executive session with employee at our last meeting. Employee also wants to validate her personal matters, and as chairman, I've asked for the executive session to put on the agenda and right at the beginning, and we need to vote on that too.
Can we add an executive session without prior advertisement?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay,
I tried to get it on the agenda, but it didn't make it. Okay, so could I have a motion to add the executive session agenda to like number 3, right after the public comment? I'd like to put that, please.
I make a motion to add the executive session to our meeting today.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of adding, executive session for an employee matter? Say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Okay, so is there public comment?
I would like to make a change.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
I'd just like to add a chance to summarize the Pathfinder meeting or report on it.
Where do you
Probably
want
not
that, Kim?
myself.
Where
I
do
think
you-
that'd be, if we had new business. I think probably Emily would be better than I would, but we can report on the Pathfinder.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to have a motion to add the Pathfinder talk from Kim.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. All right, let's do public comment changes, items on the agenda. Is there any public comment?
I'm Annie Gonzalez. Could you please use the
Oh,
microphone?
yes.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for telling me. I just. There's that better.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment or anything on the agenda? Is loud enough? Okay. All right, then I would like to call for the executive session right now. So that means you two will have. Back on? Okay, we will continue now with, let's see, we're here on number 3. Consent agenda. Did you guys look at your minutes and your financials? Are you ready to vote on them? Or are there any changes?
I need to add Sammy Joe on guests present. She's normally on Zoom, and so I didn't put that down, so.
Okay,
Okay.
under guest present on Zoom.
Does Jesselyn know? Is Jesselyn back?
I'm not sure.
Oh, you mean literally right now?
I'm Brian.
Sorry.
Oh, no, we're not to you yet. Sammy,
Oh, okay.
put you in there's Jocelyn.
Okay,
So
good.
where are we at?
We're on, we're consent agenda, action item. If the meeting minutes are fine and the financial reports from last meeting, we will.
Are you saying you need to add Sammy Joe to the minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
so for guest present, I need to add Sammy Joe.
Okay, under present on Zoom or present?
She was, since we were in Geraldine.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Sorry, Sammy.
All right. Could I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes from April and the financial reports from April
With amendment,
with
adding Sammy Joe to the guest
Oh.
list.
an amendment to add Sammy Joe?
I will make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, is there public comment? You're looking pretty quiet. All right. Discussion. No, we can listen. Let's do that. Okay, we did that. Did we vote?
No.
So. All right. All in favor of accepting the meeting minutes from April and the April financials, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Branch reports. Darlene, are you there?
I don't know. Why don't we have our branch reports like we do some of our other reports, so we can look at them and read them at home?
Okay. Darlene must not be there. Fort Benton, do you want to do yours?
So for the month of April, themes, or displays that we had up was Montana Day, 406 Day, Easter eggs, baby animals, rabbits, libraries, gardens, environment and spring, quilts, novels and verse, autism and poetry. And our projects included our quilt show, heirloom quilt show with the open house, was very well received. And we participated in the Fort Benton High School Career Fair with a table.
All right. Sammy Joe, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Can we wait 1 second? I
Yeah.
am not sure. If,
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to use the mic.
This got unplugged during executive session.
no, that part's okay. I just need to make sure that, yeah, that's fine.
better now?
Just a minute.
Okay. If I don't use this, would you yell at me? Okay,
As long as you speak up.
if I don't use it, will you yell at me?
I don't think anybody yelled at you, but it would be nice to hear you.
Well, I forget to use it.
Just a minute. I don't, doesn't seem to be. Okay, let me unplug it. Oh, this got unplugged.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Why was that unplugged?
I'm not sure. I mean,
Okay, Jesselyn, can you now hear us? Is that?
Yes, I can hear you all.
Sammy Joe,
Yes.
hey, would you give your report, please?
Yep. So my themes for April were Easter, spring, poetry, Earth Day, and then just librarian favorites. I have no new projects at this time, just wrapping up Democracy Project.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would, no change. Are you ready? You ready, Emily, for my report?
Did you want to read Big Sandy?
Do we have Big Sandy?
Right here, we can read it.
Okay, all right, I'll read it. Big Sandy. Stress Awareness Month, Poetry Month, National Branch Month, National Library Week, Autism Acceptance Month, Easter and Spice of the Month is tarragon.
Okay, so on the director report, inventory update. We went up, Sammy Joe and Maren and I went up and worked with Darlene and Sarah to get the Big Sandy inventory done in 1 day. So that got finished up, and then I ended up going to Geraldine by myself. Maren was sick and we got most of Geraldine's done, and then Sammy Joe finished that up. And then for Fort Benton, we will start on June 6th. And we will be done by end of workday on June 9th, so before summer reading starts. Summer reading dates, that's the next big project for everyone. Big Sandy is doing, I believe, a kickoff the first Wednesday of June, whatever that day is. And then their programs are running June 9th through the 18th. Geraldine is June 10th through July 30th, and Fort Benton, June 11th through the 31st. As part of Fort Benton summer reading, we're doing some and not just for summer reading, but in general, the new person that's working at BLM has come over to do some collaboration. So we will be working with them throughout the summer and beyond, hopefully.
On what subject for the BLM?
Just a variety of different things, like we're going to do a trails program with them. the first Saturday in June, and then she's gonna come over and do some different art. I believe the first one is
That's okay.
like June
There's just programs.
10th. Yeah, so we're gonna do like, she's gonna talk about natural dyes, birding, things like that.
Cool. Sounds good. Anything else?
Nope, does anybody have any questions?
Announcements to remember, Memorial Day next Monday, right? All branches will be closed. Summer hours, you want to talk about that?
We voted on that you voted on that last meeting, so that switches on the 27th.
The summer celebration book sale?
Yes, so I would like to request that we can be open on Saturday of summer celebration, the 28th. We usually do 10 to 2. And we balance work hours, so that's not, Carolyn usually works that. And so we'll adjust that during the week.
So there's no overtime.
So there's no overtime or extra hours.
Do we need a motion for that?
I think so.
Action item?
Can I make a motion?
Yes, please.
I make a motion that Fort Benton Branch Library be open on June 28th during summer celebration for their book sale.
Is there any public comment?
I'll second that
Yes.
first.
Okay, okay, thank you. Now is the public comment, public opinion on the summer celebration? Open sale? No? All right, discussion among us?
We usually get lots of people.
Mhm.
Especially if I'm over, they come over from the barbecue before and after.
Oh,
From 10 to 2.
I'll get it. No, that homecoming is different. All right, let's vote on, being open for summer celebration from 10 to 2, is that what you said? Emily?
Mhm.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unfinished business. Policy review, the objectives. Must be a copy here somewhere, right, Emily? Yeah, that's
Mine was right under the director report.
my paper. How about yours? Yeah, you want me to read it? This is, on the top is the old one.
Well, the
Lost.
top one on the top is the one that you and I had discussed. It's not the old one.
Okay. I want to go with the bottom one. It says, let us empower our trustee board and staff to responsibly provide the best possible library services with efficient management of library resources through guidelines set by the board of trustees. We seek to meet the rapidly changing technology, patrons and communities' expectations.
Do you mind discussing your thoughts behind that?
I wanted it shorter. I'm kind of like a short and to the point girl.
I guess I really like the top one. Is this the objectives of the library system or of the board of trustees? Like, where is this under?
It was under objectives. Could you help us there, please?
I can't.
Um,
I was not part of the
No, but
development
where-
of
Is
this.
this objectives? This is
For the
for
library.
the
it's part of
library?
Policies.
Yeah,
Yes, it's a library policy.
Thank you, Janet.
So,
To select materials, yeah, it's a library policy.
okay. Kim?
I
You like
guess
the top one better?
I do, it makes more sense from the perspective of the library. That the library would be to responsibly provide the best possible services.
I think the problem was with number 4. I believe it was a word salad. It was one sentence. And I think that was the whole thing. Because we talked about it last week.
Yes, we did.
Should
Well,
we? I guess we,
To select the materials that would achieve a balance between the materials of contemporary interest while still creating a collection of permanent value, and to acquire materials that reflect differing points of view. It's just,
I like that. It shows a balance.
Well, I like the points.
I like the
You
points, I
like
just
that?
didn't care for the,
Yeah, even the fourth one.
Alrighty,
so, well, we can vote.
we can vote on it if you would
Mhm.
choose.
Mhm.
Jocelyn, did you have anything you wanted to add or anything? You don't have to. I just want to make sure.
Thank you, guys. No,
So one of the things I don't particularly like about the new one is,
Is this
the
bottom one
trustee
or the
board
top
does
one?
not provide library services.
Mm-hmm.
And we really, as a library system, we do not seek to meet rapidly changing technology needs. Libraries tend to be 5 to 10 years behind simply because of cost and how things come out. And so, and I don't think that sentence makes sense.
Alrighty then. Any other discussion? Doesn't matter to me.
What do you consider the materials of contemporary interest?
So we want to make sure that there's James Patterson on the shelf and CJ Box and Baldacci, and when people call, and so instead of, I had someone from out of town come in a couple of weeks ago, last month sometime, and wondered why we didn't have books from 200 years ago on the shelf or 150 years ago. And so it's that balance of keeping,
Do you have books on your shelf from 150?
not 150, but I mean like older, like,
Classic, older.
well, but there's a difference between,
But
Make
this was reviewed by committee, which is you guys.
And it was me, it was,
Okay. Yeah, okay,
and I did not call her on the bottom one. I did it all one.
okay, but this,
Okay.
this April 14th,
that
the
was
top
the
one,
day that we had,
Okay.
that Nona and I discussed it, yeah.
okay.
So that's what, of contemporary interest, because there are camps of people who don't feel that there should be any popular fiction on the shelf. So we want to make sure that we are meeting that interest of the community versus people who do want to come in and be able to do historical research and find Little Women and Grapes of Wrath and Charles Dickens and those.
I think contemporary
types of
is a
things.
living record at the same time.
Yeah, so when Danielle Steele or whoever is writing under Danielle Steele's name publishes a new book, if we have people that want that, then we.
And you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
any other discussion? So you want, so it's agreed to go with the top one?
I can make a motion if you want
Yes,
to.
please, ma'am.
Make a motion, we adopt the April 14th, 2025 objectives policy.
Is there a second? Is there public opinion?
Could you read that, please?
The one we're adopting. Objectives: 1, to responsibly provide the best possible library services with efficient management of library resources through guidelines set by the Board of Trustees. 2, to select materials that will help meet the educational, informational, and recreational needs of all people served by the library to promote literacy, education, and lifelong learning. 3, to provide equitable access to information, resources, and services for all members of the community, regardless of age, background, or ability. 4, to select materials that will achieve a balance between materials of contemporary interest while creating a collection of permanent value, and to acquire material that reflects differing points of view.
And that's the entirety of it. Thank you.
So I have a question. Kim, could you please reread the sentence that it says selected by the Board of Trustees? Or what at the very beginnings, top two, could you?
I'm gonna just show real quick. I don't know if that will.
I don't know if it will.
No, I can't see it.
Okay.
But I would think the Board of Trustees / director, to me.
No,
would
it
be-
doesn't. It says,
Guidelines. So number 1 is to responsibly provide the best possible library services with efficient management of library resources through guidelines set by the Library Board of Trustees. So I think it's a reference to the fact.
to the budget.
Okay, the budget and the policies come through
Yeah.
us.
Right.
Oh, thank you for clearing that up.
You're welcome, Sissy.
Any other discussion? is everyone in agreement? You wanna go with the top one?
Well, we've had the motion, so now we could vote on the motion.
Okay, let's vote on, please, could we, all in favor of accepting the first objectives on this piece of paper, say aye, please.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. The closing of facilities.
This is
No,
Jesselyn on
that-
Zoom.
Oh, Jocelyn, yes?
Oh, in regards to the closing of the facilities, before we have an action on it, I was wondering if we could define unusual circumstances in that policy. I think the rest of the policy looks great. Just I know we've had issues with what an unusual circumstances would
Should be in your
qualify for.
policy binder that I made for everyone, so I didn't copy new ones.
I didn't bring it, so.
Do you want me to read this?
Sure.
All right, I'll read it really quick. Closing of facilities. All libraries will close for the 11 legal state holidays each year. When a holiday falls on Sunday, the following Monday is a holiday. When a holiday falls on Saturday, the holiday will be celebrated on the preceding Friday. Then there's a second paragraph. The director, librarian on duty, or the chair of the library board is authorized to close the library under unusual circumstances.
So Jocelyn had said that if you couldn't hear that, she would like further definition of unusual circumstances.
To be added to that.
Whether,
So one of the things that I've learned about policy writing is you want to be careful not to be
too specific.
too specific because it needs to be able to cover a variety of things. A variety of circumstances, sure.
Is the policy committee comfortable with us discussing this now, or would you rather go back to policy, the committee?
Doesn't matter, we can discuss it now.
Okay,
Any more? Any?
so would we want to add a such as severe weather?
No, that's really, I mean, there's so many instances. just
Mhm.
such-
If you have a burst pipe or you show up and your boiler's not working, or
Or they close the street.
they close the street,
Okay.
weather warnings,
Or the city's on lockdown.
sickness,
Mhm.
if all staff
So
is sick
they get
or.
some- yeah.
Was fine.
Mhm.
Right, rather than have a list of reasons to do it, just
Yes,
trust
exactly.
the staff to
'Cause
do
I
it, and
know
then,
you have to go through DES, disaster and emergency services. And when I was a deputy, we did have to close places.
okay.
I think unusual circumstances covers
Good.
what we need to.
Jesselyn, was there anything you had in mind?
No, everything you guys are saying is exactly what I was thinking, and I understand Emily's point as well, that we do have to be careful about being too definitive. I was just wondering if there could be a balance somewhere in there. I'm not very helpful in that instance, I guess, but and maybe it is, we just leave it the way it is too. I don't have a perfect answer there, I'm sorry.
Sounds like Emily's thought is that listing it out isn't necessarily helpful, because maybe you won't put in the list whatever happens. So if we have to do an emergency closure, it'll either follow, like it'll either be acceptable or it won't, but we can't really put a list because
Would you be more comfortable with unusual circumstances / emergency situations?
Yeah, maybe that works too, yes.
Yeah.
So it would say the director, librarian on duty, or the chair of the library board is authorized to close the library under unusual circumstances and or emergency. Or for emergency.
emergencies. So
Because like an unusual circumstance could be that the street is closed access, but that's not necessarily an emergency, it's unusual
If the power
versus
went out.
a ice storm like we had a couple years ago, that's more of an emergent
There could
situation.
be so many,
or
there could
power.
be
Mhm.
An illness or an injury in the library. There could
Right.
be if we did
Right.
build a
So-
library, so yeah.
Would that be better?
Yeah. We could
Jesselyn,
do,
is that okay?
Sorry. Sorry, I'm struggling with my mute button. Yes, I do agree with that.
Yeah, we could have to close the library under unusual or emergency circumstances.
Yep. Sounds good.
We should call extenuating circumstances, because there's so many.
Yeah.
Right. Or there'll be times Sammy Joe will call if there's a planned power outage. It's happened more out at Geraldine than it has here or Big Sandy to my knowledge.
Or an IT issue.
Right,
or
so,
A lot of things.
a disruption,
Mhm.
the accommodations, there can be so many.
So you can add.
or emergencies.
Mhm. Would you read it, Kim, please? Oh, it's
Yeah.
not-
Do you guys want me to read the first paragraph?
Read it.
About
and
the
then
11
make a
days.
Well,
No, I don't think so.
Just the
That's
part that
the part
changed.
from
Just the
like,
part
the
you-
yeah,
Okay, so the first part is just the 11 holidays,
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, Monday, Saturday. Okay. The director, librarian on duty, or the chair of the library board is authorized to close the library under unusual circumstances or emergencies. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you. I think that sounds great. Thank you.
would someone like to call for a motion?
I move that we accept the
Closing of facilities.
closing of facilities policy with the amended.
I'll second.
Is there public comment? Okay, just, we discussed enough, right? We're good?
Mhm.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the new,
Of the motion.
yeah, of the motion. I can't see that. Yes, all in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, I don't have organizer. It's just a little tiny one.
It is. a little.
So we're supposed to, you want us to bring the policy meeting?
Well, if we're gonna be looking at one, at least one every time, that would probably be best. The Chouteau, wait, which one are we on? Organization, yes.
Organization.
The Chouteau County Libraries function under the direction of the Chouteau County Library Board of Trustees, who are appointed by the Chouteau County Commissioners. The Montana State Library in Helena, Montana serves as a valuable resource in guiding public libraries throughout the state. The Montana State Library Commission, appointed by the governor, employs the state librarian. So basically, it says that the trustees are appointed by the commissioners, and then the state library is there for assistance.
Any more discussion?
And it is not to be voted on today.
Oh, okay.
It's just for discussion. So you could have more discussion, but
Yes,
you
yes.
don't have to make
So
a
we'll put
motion
Down for next week.
for next month. Yeah.
Yes, please.
I think that policy
What?
is fine the way it is.
You think it's
Did you
fine?
hear that? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to have more discussion and pass it today or wait?
I don't know if we can vote on it
No,
because it's not listed as an action item.
not listed
Okay.
as an action.
All right.
So then Nona, like in regards to your question, so then this would be on for an action item for next month. And then,
And you bring up another?
well, yeah, kind of whatever is probably, yeah. I'll send that out.
There's a little tiny short one.
Yeah. There's a bunch here at the beginning, so. Yep.
Okay. Number B. Open trustee position update.
So it's my understanding, I spoke with Lana Clausen yesterday, there have been 2 applications turned in to the courthouse, to her knowledge. I'm not sure, I noticed Great Falls has an open position right now and they had an end date. So that would be something that should be considered the next
Yeah,
time.
That's what we
Mhm.
did before.
So I don't know, I haven't talked to the commissioners about that, because we would like to be able to seat that person at the June meeting, when Nancy goes off, and then at the July meeting can,
Maybe a
for
vote.
board chair and vice chair and things like that. And so
Maybe how about if I call them? Okay, and put an end date? Get one
that's
of them.
not
Can
for
we
me to decide.
discuss it that day?
Has to be what?
Publicize, if you have an end date, you gotta tell people.
Have you heard anything from the commissioners, Janet? No. So next time. Well, they just, the commissioners probably won't appoint them if they don't turn in on time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was their end date. I don't know what they said.
Mhm.
Guess that
I
was
don't,
it.
I don't think it was ever decided
Okay.
by anyone.
You want it? When did you say?
We would like the decision to be made before the next meeting, the June 25th meeting.
Okay.
But I think it would be wise to,
Have it a little before that too.
well, and to, because they have to be able to do it. And then we should publicize that, please have your applications turned in no later than
Bye.
June 15th or whatever date. So,
Okay. I will talk to him, if that's all right.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, moving on to amendment to the bylaws. Did we do that already?
so I spoke with Corey Sloan last month. So Janet brought an amendment to the March meeting to be voted on at the April meeting. And that was voted on and approved. That amendment is done. So then I brought up at the last meeting that since the mission statement and the vision statement changed, that then changes the bylaws. So I wanted to make sure that was an okay change to make within that. And Corey recommended that we, at the first meeting with the new trustee, I can draft up those, because it's not really a change, right? It's substituting, but it does change that document that had been signed. And so she recommended that I insert those two, put the new mission statement in, put the new vision statement in, include the amendment that was passed last month, and then the seated board at the July meeting will approve those bylaws as have been changed, and then those 5 trustees will sign the bylaws for the next year.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Yep, so I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that that's
Thank you.
where that
Thank you.
was.
Yes, thank you. All right. Preliminary system budget,
Fiscal year maybe.
fiscal year is out there.
Mhm. One change from what I presented,
These,
so these are new. I printed off new ones for today. There was minimal changes. I had forgotten about one hotspot. And so I added that in, which doesn't change the amount that I have recommended. It was just different in the breakdown. So that was all on the Fort Benton page. Big Sandy page, the 370 was what was not filled in last month. So current for this fiscal year, travel was 300. Projected expenses, which you can see on the page with the colors, that's the MLA. Projected expenses will be 1,500. So that is an increase of 1,200. And
for all
then,
of you.
no, that's for just the Big Sandy staff.
Do you know why there's such a discrepancy in cost between the Big Sandy and the rest of the staff?
It's further.
It's the mileage reimbursement
Okay,
is what is there. And meals.
oh. You've broken it
Instead of the
out.
1269, you're moving it to 1,500.
No, that's how much I think that MLA will cost for them to go. And the 300 that was originally in there is travel basically for the all staff meetings when they travel. That's to make sure their gas is covered. So then that adds approximately 1,200, that 1,200 to cover their attendance.
And this is the thought that all staff will go every year for MLA? and
No,
all
this is the
training?
thought that since it's in Great Falls and it's closer, so there
Oh.
aren't need for hotel rooms.
Okay,
This
That makes
is
sense.
next spring.
This is in
or next.
April of, or March
Yeah.
of, or April of
26.
2026. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's right, because they hadn't gotten back to you.
Right.
In time to
Right.
update it before the last
Yep.
meeting. Okay.
And then there shouldn't have been any change with in the Geraldine. But I did include all those.
These three pages.
All right.
So have you worked out the salaries?
Yes, and I believe I presented that last meeting, and that was with a 3% COLA for everyone.
Big change. So Samantha's looking at 3 years. And she's paid 50 cents under Helen is the branch librarian. She also is the manager and person working full-time under her. I think Helen also has worked a little longer than Maren. So I would like to see Helen's rate increase,
Just her.
yes.
And what?
Well, I like this increase. So she's $3 off of, just almost $3 off of Maren, who she has worked longer than.
Okay, Maren does have a college
Yes,
degree and a
yeah.
master's degree
Yes,
in library
yes.
science
Mhm.
also, that
Yeah.
she got under her own
Mhm. Under-
financial cost to herself.
And I think Sammy Joe is probably the head of the branch. I
Yes,
can't imagine
she
she's
is.
not,
But
considered
she's
branch
not
manager.
full-time Head of the branch.
but she does the job with part-time hours.
But I still believe that Darlene
Yes.
needs an increase.
Yes.
She is getting, so she'll be at 1525 is what it comes out to for the next.
What's Henry Joe getting?
I'm not sure why we're comparing it this way.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I don't know if you can talk about employee salary and their money and stuff in a public meeting.
Other than it's county, so I think it's, public information.
Definitely, I have everything from the county.
We've had a request to use the microphone on,
I would just, for your own protection, verify that you can talk about employees and what they make. I think you can kind of talk about job descriptions, but I don't know as far as an employee, if you can discuss that. I could be wrong, but I would just err on
I think
cautious
Kim
on
is
that.
correct in that it is public knowledge,
Yes,
because it is county, that it is public knowledge for
But we should
us
talk
to be
about,
able to discuss.
we should talk about the big Sandy branch librarian rather than use names. That's what we're thinking.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
we don't have a step system set up for years worked either. The county, I don't believe has that as part of it.
It reflects in their salaries. I've got the salaries, they actually gave them to me.
But there's not a step schedule that's, I mean, Carolyn has,
matrix.
there's not a matrix, like at the, like at a school where,
It's true.
and so I'm not sure why we're discussing years worked. Carolyn has worked the most amount
Mhm,
of everyone,
mhm.
so are we gonna step her up that much more?
Well, either way, I think we can look.
I just think we should look at it.
Okay, so and then I also got my master's degree and I
Mhm.
took only a 3% increase last year so that the rest of my staff
I just.
could have
think she
bigger.
knows from that she, where Samantha began and where Darlene is now.
So
But-
you're, and we shouldn't use names.
Yeah, excuse me, where the librarian who is part-time in Geraldine and a librarian who is full-time with 8 years and also actually has one person under her.
So I think there is some thought about, especially in the school system, about you have to keep entry level at some level of competition. Like, cause I think the idea is that a lot of brand new teachers with student loans, like if you just did strict
Mhm.
matrix with minimal pay for minimal experience, you'd never get any teachers, right? And I think maybe that's what we're dealing with as county employees. If we did it solely on seniority and kept beginners at a very, very low pay, it would be extremely hard to hire new people. So that makes sense to me that Samantha would not be at the bottom, because I think they do need a librarian at Geraldine. And so there needs to be a pay scale that's something you can attract good quality people.
So last year, the rate increase for Darlene was $1.19. The increase for Samantha last year was $1.66. There's a time we need to catch up.
Was that to do with the temporary status?
This is from Emily from last year. I put it all up. We have it,
Okay,
okay?
but I remember, don't we generally start new employees? They have like a 6-month probationary period, after which the pay changes.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we hired someone, so I can't remember exactly how it works. I think we could look to have a motion. That sounds like the director is confident with the across the board 3%.
Yes, that is my
Um,
recommendation.
And we had a recommendation from the county last year of the 3.2%, and the commissioner told me that it's more like $5 with the insurance. Since then, he has also told me that their insurance has included life insurance as well as medical insurance.
Which commissioner is this? Is it the Big Sandy one?
No, just the commissioners at the office,
All of them?
so. So we did stay with the 3.2% last year.
No, there wasn't a straight across the board last
No,
year.
there wasn't. And we talked about it because the fact that there was that problem with you keeping 33.33% into the budget and not spending it, and so we weren't making.
I thought that was a problem she fixed for us.
I did.
Yes, she did.
Yes,
but
I don't
that
think
was
she caused
by-
that.
That was by not increasing the salaries.
Yeah, I think she kind of saved us by figuring out that we had
And I
been
think
doing the budget
Samantha gets
inappropriately.
extra hours for doing the democracy. even
No,
though-
she does not. That's
even though
not,
It's done on Mondays, which is part of her time.
You said
No.
extra hours.
it's not. She does it during her open hours.
'Cause
They-
last
we
time,
increased-
that's what she-
We
I think-
increased the open hours at Geraldine.
And I think we should work on saying the Geraldine
Okay, the
librarian.
Geraldine
and the-
library then.
I believe also that Big Sandy
Branch manager.
branch manager needs more than what she's getting.
And there was an added person since that time last year. So
In which
this
branch?
year, at the branch library in Big Sandy, there was a full-time person at.
Who? Wasn't Sarah on last year? Or wasn't the,
That
She
position
didn't
was
come in
added
The
until
before.
librarian?
November of last year. I
No,
think.
that was in 2023.
yeah, that's what she discussed.
Right.
So that position has been full-time for over,
Well,
A
then it's
fiscal year.
time then to make the change.
But she was, like last budget. I don't agree that there was an additional full-time person added in 2024
was
to
Part-
Big Sandy.
Do you have an idea of what you'd like to increase your wages by?
I wrote down something, yes.
You want to share with us?
Yeah, I saw that, $1.50 minimum raise increase.
That is almost triple the current projected raises.
I agree, but she's been slighted for a year.
From what I'm looking at, the branch manager for Big Sandy is higher than the branch manager of Geraldine.
And should
She
be,
is,
she is
because she's a supervisor position.
50 cents is all it is. And when the
What's 50 cents?
salaries, 50 cents between 13. Well, that last year's salary was 13.34.
That was a total? Is what she got an hour?
Then that would be $1.50 she increased last year. Is that what
No,
you're thinking?
That is what I'm talking about, as the increase that shows here for for that branch librarian in Big Sandy was to be 44 cents. The increase for the one in Geraldine is 44 cents.
43 cents.
Okay, last
Starting
year-
at a lower wage.
So it's based on the 3%. It's not based on
Right.
it's not based on a monetary number. It's based on a percentage. So 3% of 1481 is 44 cents.
Right.
And
last
3% of 1434 is 44 cents.
Right now, the highest raise we're looking at is 63 cents, so $1.50 seems like a huge jump.
Yeah, that's what I think.
And I don't know if we have two in a
We can
row,
do it.
I don't know if that's sustainable.
What would
especially-
you think would be,
I think I understand the mentality of across the board. Like a cost of living, I'm very familiar with that.
So last year, Janet, my original ask was that Darlene, that all the both Big Sandy positions and the Geraldine positions would get $1 increase. And the board did not agree to that. The board was the one that went to the 44 cents.
Wow.
So I'm not sure all of a sudden why it is financially feasible now when it was not financially feasible at that point.
that was probably because the Big Sandy librarian was getting $1.19, where the Geraldine library was supposed to get $1.60.
I'm not sure where those numbers, I am not finding,
Looking at your number.
Right. And I don't think.
I know I'm looking for it right now and I'm not.
I would
finding
really
that.
like to move away from being competitive between the branches. I don't think we need to be that way. I think if you have a staff member that you think merits a rating, that's fine, but I really don't like that we're trying to pit them against each other. I think that's the wrong way to
There's a
go.
Staff
That's what we're trying not
in
Yeah.
Big Sandy that then deserves an increase in her salary.
And I would agree.
We just met with another staff member. I mean, I think I have yet to know a staff member that's not really good.
I'm not judging who's good or bad.
Well, I think you're saying
I'm
that
just
there's,
judging for 8 years. I've seen the increases that others have had, and I believe that she also deserves it.
what was changed from last year to this year. To me, it's been a similar year. It hasn't been an outstanding year one way or the other.
I think it's because I looked at it this year and compared it to last year. I feel
There
like
were
it's-
a lot of different spreadsheets that came out last year, Janet, and so I'm not
So,
sure.
Is it due to a personal relationship?
No, it's just money. I mean.
Just money.
Just increase in wages.
Do you want to look at an 8% across the board?
I don't know, wow.
no.
Because I think that's how we get to. Because not all the staff deserve raises,
Probably, that would be.
right? I think if we start cherry picking one staff above all others, it's just gonna drive the competition that already exists.
And we already have decided we have an assistant library, but not a single library in the state has an assistant library.
Really? Not even Bozeman or Billings?
Well, that's what. I
Great
was
Falls
told.
was currently was
Yeah.
advertising for an assistant librarian. I'm not, or
Well,
assistant director.
I mean, it seems like,
Besides,
I thought we've always had an assistant director. It sounds like we're fairly split, so we could call for, I don't know if we vote, if we could call for a motion, or if we just send it back, and then next month, we could make a vote. Because I think that's what you do when you're in an impasse. You can have a motion and you make a vote.
Jessamine can vote, can't she?
Is it an action item?
No.
Yeah, well, the preliminary is an action item. So we could make a motion to accept the budget as presented. If it fails, then Emily has to bring back a new one next meeting. If it passes, then
But last year, we did this part separate from the others, so we can approve the budget and not approve the personal services.
but I
looked
mean,
it up on the online from last year's meeting, and they were separate.
I guess I'm good with this. So with the chairwoman's permission, I'll make a motion. If it gets voted down, it gets voted down. Emily has to come back with another budget
Just for.
Well,
just
I'd
for the-
like to approve.
because the board does not
budget.
approve the budget.
Yeah, but they were.
But Kim is
approved
saying she would
separately.
like to, Kim is just saying that she would like to approve it all. You're saying you don't want to approve it all. Kim is saying she does want to approve it all.
Okay.
That's the difference.
I think it'd still be like, we'd still have to vote on it next time.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I make a motion to accept the budget as presented.
Give a second. Public comment.
I would like, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a suggestion. I'm hearing both sides of this. I understand Kim's side, I understand Janet's side. I know giving raises out are really hard, but 3% or whatever you decide to give is normally across the board. If somebody deserves a higher raise, that is normally done in their evaluation, and you put stipulations saying that you should get this certificate or we do this. And then present it that if they get a certain licensures or whatever, then that there will be a one-time increase of, let's say, $2, $1.50 or stuff. But that is something that you guys would have to decide on it, but it's hard to, it's unfortunately that business normally, they don't look how long you've been out of a job or at a job. You can be there 10 years and somebody comes in making almost much as you are. So my suggestion would come up with a plan if you feel somebody deserves more money, to come up with some guidelines for them to get that. That's just my opinion.
Janet, could you repeat the part that you said about the insurance for me? The increase that you said
That
it's
was
just,
what the commissioners
and
said.
could you say it again? Just for me, we've been talking about a lot of stuff.
They said that in the last year, they
Mhm.
have added life insurance.
Okay,
And that it changes your wage.
okay,
And you increases what you're getting, and that's what it does show.
Okay.
here.
so then you were talking about how one position is full-time and one position is not full-time. So then I think the increase is built into those full-time positions, so the part-time people don't get that increase.
Okay.
So then that is an increase that those full-time, a benefit that those full-time people get that the part-time people don't. Right? Am I saying it the right way?
I think so, like you're saying that she understands your point, but that doesn't apply across the board.
Didn't
Um,
Darlene got
Big Sandy Branch.
Big Sandy Branch,
Well, this is personal.
did something. She got an accomplishment. What she, library, what?
She and Sarah and I all got the
What's it called?
certification or,
For library,
The classes that they took this year.
yeah.
so we all got that, the three,
Okay.
and Maren had gotten it the year before.
And I do wanna, because I know I come across, I do not say what I mean in these meetings. I don't have a problem with how anyone has been doing as a staff member. I just think it breeds across, it breeds competition among the branches if we start calling out individual staff members for specific raises. I do understand the across the board, but I like Sissy's idea of if we are going to individually jump people up, doing that in a private setting during evaluation versus trying to evaluate people's performance, because I think when you say someone does a great job and deserves money, everyone else hears you
Did
don't
you say
deserve
that?
money.
Did you
But
say
that's
that?
what people hear.
No, I said
is
that's what
she
I
said.
think.
I think that's a natural assumption. When
Yeah.
somebody gets a raise and somebody else doesn't, it's, oh, they did a better job.
Yeah, it's easy to see it. So at this point, we have a first, we have a second, we're still in public comment.
No, then, yes,
Hi, I'm Annie Gonzalez. I'm curious, does having a college degree or a master's degree in your field reflect in your pay?
thank you, because I was gonna ask that.
Not because,
Yes,
in my experience in the past, here's the starting wage and here's your cost of living improvement or increase. But if you've got education that furthers the depth and breadth of your knowledge that you bring to the position, that is how you, as an individual, you improved your lot as far as gaining further financial remuneration. So
We can't answer you, but
You're
I
right.
would like to state.
I think we
that
can discuss it. Oh,
We can discuss it, but I've seen people and I have personally experienced people that have a degree and they are working in a small area in the state of Montana even, that the salary would not be competitive because they do have that degree. So a lot of times, I'm sure that both of those could go to Bozeman, Missoula, or anywhere else and get more, but it's not about that always.
I think directors are allowed to take it into consideration, but from the policy manual, there's no formal matrix like a school would have that takes it into account.
all right. You wanna discuss this more about?
Jesselyn, did you have anything?
I'm good. No, I'm good. Thank
Okay.
you though.
All right, all in favor of accept,
Hibble moved to accept the budget as presented, the entire budget as
The
presented.
entire-
That is the motion that is currently on the table.
right. Can all in
And
favor?
Nancy seconded it. Yeah,
All in
sorry.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Jocelyn said aye also.
I'm opposed. I'm opposed.
So
But it passes.
3-2. Yep.
Sherry, we did them separately.
She made the motion to do it all as one.
Yeah.
Jesselyn, I had the MOU on here, but we can just put that off till next month if you would
I
prefer.
can speak to it if you don't mind, Emily. Actually, I
Okay,
had something
that's
prepared.
fine.
That's why I'm here.
Okay,
Just, I apologize for my voice, but can you all hear me okay regardless?
Yes.
Okay. So I do have a memorandum of understanding written up. It's in mostly finished stages. My request would be that maybe Kim and I look over the capital improvement plan once again and really solidify it and then bring it before the board again to approve it. To move ahead with a good memorandum of understanding, we should have that capital improvement plan approved so that that can be in there for the foundation to move forward with. And that kind of came from our conversation at our last meeting. It was requested that we have a list, and we do have that. I also spoke with a lawyer friend of mine. She also encouraged the same thing in the language in a memorandum of understanding. Excuse me. It is best to have a working project ready and then you can move forward with it. So I would just encourage that maybe Kim and I can get together at some point and solidify that.
Thank you, Jesselyn.
Thank you.
So would you like me to add that to the June agenda as well, again?
Maybe we'll see if Kim and I can get together to solidify it, but,
Yeah.
and then we'll tell you if it should be back on. Would that be helpful?
Yep.
Emily? Yeah,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
New business? Kim? You wanted to talk about health?
Where was,
I
no,
have-
Janet's.
The Short County Public Information Request Policy. I sent it out last night. And then it's in the form here.
So this is just from you, or you're the author, Janet?
Yes, I am
Okay.
also with the Montana State Library
So this is
policy.
so this is an information, and then it would go to committee and then come back for
Right,
vote.
It doesn't need to go to committee according to the lawyer. It says 2 or more is
Okay, in the past, it seemed like
I know
the
it
committee
has.
enjoyed a chance to review it.
So we'll just send it to committee then.
Well, or we can have it to be on as an action item next month.
You have copies?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, then we'll just do.
I have one question. Documents or requests which are identifiable but require 1 or 2 hours to gather will have a charge of $50 per request plus printing. Where did that number come from? Okay, so that's not the county amount. Is all that I know, is that there's not a flat fee.
You'll know what the county
I
charges.
know, I'm saying that is not what the county charges. I'm not saying we can't charge that. I thought we often tried to align with what the county
And what
policy
does the
was.
county charge?
I asked, I have not heard back. All she said was not a $50 flat.
Montana State Library.
So that's what they charge? Okay,
And I think I think Sissy mentioned that a charge is based on lost work hours, that sometimes volunteers can't charge. Is that not true?
No, apparently because I believe Montana State Library,
Well, I don't know if they'd be volunteers.
I believe the commission is volunteers.
Okay.
Do you want to take it home?
Yeah. take it home.
Take it home.
Good.
This is where. it came from.
okay, thank you.
And it was very long.
See that.
1, 2, 3.
We should have all had a copy, right?
Yeah,
I have a copy.
yeah.
Did
No,
you?
she means the one from the state is
No,
very
that-
long.
Yeah, these were passed out last
Yeah.
month.
Last month?
Oh, is that what Jocelyn passed out last month?
Yes.
Okay.
You didn't get one?
Apparently not. Oh, wait, maybe it's this one right here. I did.
Gotcha.
Kim, you got one?
And it goes with, the right to know, the right to privacy.
Yep.
A definitions. And Montana Code annotated for public information request, and then the written notice and denial. So I tried to follow that whole
Mhm.
thing, including with the denial. Because the denial says, if the records are withheld, redacted, otherwise denied, it will provide an explanation in writing. If a portion is exempt or redacted, the rest must be released. And these were all for what is that?
Any more discussion? Or do you want to just,
Oh, so
do you want to?
under the state library, it's second and subsequent searches are
Mhm.
$50. If the request was refined after an initial search, then there is a $50 search fee for each subsequent search.
And now they're talking about
Oh,
the
I see.
hourly mileages, plan benefits times the actual time in 1/4 increments. But we can change that amount.
Well, no, that's fine. I
Yeah.
just was
Yeah.
So per page photocopying, 25 cents per page plus cost of postage. Employee hourly wages and benefits times actual time in quarter hour increments.
Right.
So that would apply to you and any
The
staff,
staff.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But. this
but
is
our
very
hourly
clear.
wage is 0.
Any other discussion? Nancy, you're smiling.
It looks like a lot of work and it's okay with me.
Table it to next month then?
We can just bring it to next month. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
what I
fine
mean.
too.
Since it's not action.
Cause it does go on, it says if the cost of fulfilling the request. It must be informed the requester that the continued work on the fulfillment of the information request will cease until additional, I mean, it.
Yeah,
goes
it's,
into
theirs
lot,
is
yeah.
in a lot of detail. Yep.
Yeah, there's so much detail. All right.
Ready for new business? Kim?
Yes, I wondered if, or you and I and Justin were all at Pathfinder, but I wasn't at the morning session. Emily, would you mind telling us what we missed at the morning session? If you have more, otherwise I can kind of look at my notes.
I was trying to get the Zoom to work. Tracy did did the Pathfinder, Federation report. And Bobby DeMonte did the lifelong learning virtual trunks. She did a presentation on that. I think they had the update about the hotspots, which we had already talked about. And then the general report. So we did get a check back from, well, we got it from Blaine County technically. The Library Commission had given each federation an additional $4,000 to be used for trustee education. And so it can be used for cost of classes or traveling. So like that one Nona and Janet that you would have gone to in Havre, like you could have been reimbursed for that, but you
Yeah.
didn't go. And then, so Pathfinder travel could be reimbursed, but since it's here, we don't have that. So I took that check to Cheryl yesterday and asked her about that. So I've earmarked $177. That was our share after all costs were taken out. That can be used in the next fiscal year for trustee travel or continuing education. So that would be something to look at for MLA,
Yeah.
for either travel reimbursement or if people wanted to go for registration costs. So
Yeah.
that is available there.
I was told that also.
So was the morning.
Nice. Afternoon, looking at my notes, we had a really good speaker of legal and operational issues facing Montana libraries. Chris, I think he says Goss.
Goss.
Yeah, and he's a lawyer, and he has a background with Montana School Board Association. He talked about, we deal with the First Amendment, free speech, but also Montana Article 2. He talked, when removing books, you must follow a policy. We tend to get in trouble if someone just removes a book without following a policy. He talked about kind of the fight on that. Let's see. He said, when staff purchases a book, make sure they document how it does not fall under, well, he says they has to pass the Miller test, but he talked a little bit about just documenting up front when you purchase a book. So if it's challenged later, you can pull up your documentation, see this is why we purchased this book. This is why it's acceptable for our library. Let me see. He said restricted access areas have not held up. They're a First Amendment violation. Let's see. There was some really good discussion about how to basically ban someone from library premises. And they basically said you have to document every interaction with them. So, I know talking to the Big Sandy staff, they talked about an incident when a patron was very frightening to them. I think maybe a potential staff training could be on how to document those issues so that they can then have someone banned from the premises for their safety. They also use the term trespass when you can just ban someone for a year. You don't have to permanently ban them from the thing, but if someone is causing problems, you can do it for just a year. We can have security cameras, we just have to put notice that it's there. They said schools are the same way. And you
also-
can't have it watching what people look at on computers or what they check out. But for staff safety, you can have
They
cameras.
suggested that they're best if they were outdoors, not indoors.
No, you can have them inside.
I
No,
don't
but he
remember
said
that
that.
part. It just
No.
said it can't show who is checking out what and they
It
can't.
can't
go
be
over the
where you
shoulder of
can see the computer or, yeah, what they're actually checking out
I think someone-
inside.
Because someone brought up the fact that they had problem and they thought that they could, use it for lawful. And it said it got very confusing.
They have them inside in the schools and program.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, that was the discussion about if the police come and ask, was so-and-so in your library at this time, that the library doesn't necessarily have to release that. But for library, for staff safety and patron safety, it's a different. So he recommended to have a policy with who has access to that and if it's stored. So
Oh,
that would
very
be a
good.
policy to look
Yes.
at.
He basically said, if a police officer just comes, that's one thing. If a parent comes, maybe you have a policy that says we do not turn over that, footage except with a police officer with a subpoena or some sort of document. You never know why. There's personal reasons too.
Yeah.
Yes. We talked about disclosure of library records. He said minors actually have a greater right to privacy under the Montana Constitution than adults do. And the legal age is 16. So he said that's a lot of the reason why some libraries try to avoid issuing library cards to 16-year-olds, because those records absolutely should not be disclosed unless it is a compelling state interest, which is then I think pretty rare. Am I remembering that correctly? Yeah. And that we should have a policy that spells out what age a minor can have a card. And if the parent can then request the reading list, because that has been an issue.
And actually,
Let's see.
with, MCA, it is 22-1-1101, library records that identify a person's borrowing history, except under certain circumstances, such as a court order, is a exemption from public disclosure.
Okay. He also talked about committees should be open meeting law requirements. So even though we don't have a quorum on a committee, we still need to notice them and let the public come to the committee meetings. And if we as board members knowingly violate the law, it does remove us of our legal, the insurance coverage through the county. So we can be personally sued. And he said a lot of times the insurance company is looking for a reason not to pay out. So if we act in an illegal manner and we get sued, the county doesn't cover us. Let's see. He said for public comment in meetings, we can have rules of decorum. If they're broken, you can recess the meeting. You just call a recess, everyone leaves, 15 minutes later, come back. If the person still hasn't left, you may have to adjourn the meeting. But
If they're obnoxious.
Right, he said you really can't shut them down, you really can't physically remove them, even if they are totally out of line. He said you
they
just have
need
to
it.
shut down the meeting, yes.
Good to know. Do we have some of that, Kim, or did you?
You want me to make copies?
So I think on yesterday, the 20th, the state library had a webinar that was that was basically going to be what he had covered at Pathfinder. So I believe that recording should be available now to watch. I'm sure
I
he
think I saw it.
covers a bunch of that. So that would be my recommendation, would be to watch that webinar from yesterday. I had asked if we could record that here, and he said he preferred that people wait until the one that they were gonna do on the 20th. It was gonna have,
I saw it.
Tracy Cook was gonna be
Yeah.
the one who
Yeah.
led that out, so
Okay,
that would be Chris Goss, KRISGOSS.
I'm going on. And that would be best because my note taking was not really, it was kind of the things that interested me. It wasn't everything.
Okay. Yeah, I did see that. I just didn't have time.
Okay.
Janet, did you have any thoughts you would like to share?
I would, I had a lot of thoughts on it, actually. I have it in a notebook, except that I have my notebook at home. So,
You don't know
It was a really good talk.
Yeah.
Jesselyn
I
was.
think Jesselyn took notes
Oh.
too.
Yep.
All of a sudden she's gone though. I don't know where she
Oh.
went.
Poor thing.
She's probably on the couch.
Oh, there,
Right.
here she comes. Jocelyn, did you have anything you wanted to?
Mostly about policy and well, we're starting on the one policy already, but then the policy for what age
Policies.
minors have cards. I noticed we don't have that. That might be something to look into.
Right, yep,
Another policy. I did.
on the library card one
Okay.
Okay.
that Kim mentioned.
I think he also said you should have a policy on policies, just so it's spelled out somewhere,
Policies.
right? Even he laughed, but he said basically you should have it spelled out. This is how policies are made and this is where you find them.
that's all.
Bylaws.
Bylaws, and our handbook.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Is there
that
any
it?
public comment on anything? Let's see, whatever, not on the agenda, but under the jurisdiction of the board, any public comment? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Deborah Clark, and I'm sure most of you are fully aware of who I am. I was on the Board of Trustees and the foundation for 10 years. And I actually, when I sat down, I saw a picture over there on top of the card catalog of my mother, who was a board member with Nancy for many years. So just kind of brought back some memories. But I know being on a board, a county board, it's not easy. It's stressful at times. You're the people that we come to and complain, and it's not, I mean, it's not easy. It's an unpaid volunteer position, and it's a lot of work. But I just, Emily has asked me some questions of things that happened, like when I was on the board, and she wanted some clarification, and I started watching your meetings again, and I believe that maybe there's some discourse going on in the board, and there's a lot of things, people aren't getting along, and communication is not there anymore, and you've kind of lost focus. All these meetings are policies, and bylaws, and there's never any discussion of what kind of programs. There's some, okay, there's some, but there's not a lot. There needs to be more things of like what's going on at the library to keep things going, helping Emily come up with new programs. Now that humanities for Montana's in financial strain, it's gonna be hard to come up with different things for the board. And she needs your help as a board to do these things. And I think a lot of some of her stuff is she can't do a lot because she's got all these other policies and all these different things going on, and she needs help. And talk to each other, have discussions at meetings, put away the Montana Code annotated, quit harping on that all the time, and talk things out. Instead of just saying, well, next month, we can't talk about that next month. One more thing with the foundation, that was near and dear to my heart because of all the Big Sandy Library. And the foundation worked very hard on that library. We raised all that money. We just didn't have it given to us. We just didn't have it in the bank account. We had to raise all of that money. Big Sandy, yes, did step up, but there was people on the foundation board that did that. I wrote grants. I can't tell you how many grants I wrote and how much money that went to that. There just seems like
there's micromanagement, I think is the word that's been used. That, well, we have to approve everything that the foundation wants to do to the branches. The people that are on the foundation board are on the board because they have a love of the library, just like the board of trustees. They're not gonna try to sabotage what goes on in these buildings. The foundation's had a good relationship with the board over the years, and I hope that that continues. And that's what I've got to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Anything else? I adjourn this meeting till.
Madam Chair, this is Sissy Felton. I'd like to speak.
Yes, Ms. Sissy.
Yes, Miss Nona. I just want to verify that all the trustees has the Montana State Library trustee manuals 1 and 2. And that they know what the golden rule is, because it really concerns me, because I've heard Nona saying that when she got on the board, she had no training. And I agree. So I think if we had these trustee manuals and people read it, it makes life a lot easier to give them the education that they need. And then I'm requesting an executive meeting with all the board members on the 28th.
28th of what?
May. That's next Wednesday. I can come to the library, but I'd like to meet with all board members.
What time, Sissy?
You give me a time and I'll be there.
All right. I'm not available. I'm available that day, but not between
Not
1
available
and 2:30.
on that day.
How about the 29th?
It would have to be in June for me, I'm sorry.
What part of June?
Let's see. The first week of June, I'm available Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday all day. Do you want to give us an idea of,
It's something that should be an executive
so it's
meeting.
important for the board?
Correct.
Okay. Because I think we are only allowed to do executive session if the right to privacy of a staff member.
So it's executive session if it's a personnel issue or potential litigation.
Okay, is it one of those items, Sissy?
Yes.
All right. Do you need to meet with all of us or just a quorum?
I think it'd be wise to meet with everyone.
All right. Janet, are you willing to meet in executive session?
I think that we should ask Steve Gannon about this.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm not saying anything.
okay.
Okay.
at this-
Okay.
All right.
Well, could you let me know when, because it'll just be me and it'll be just very laid back.
All right. In the first week of June.
If that'll work, I am free on the 3rd.
All right.
I don't know.
Me neither.
Not at all.
I have to check my calendar.
Would you like Nancy there?
I guess, if
I
she can be. And if it'll work, if the library could set up a Zoom, we could do a Zoom, if that'll be better for everyone also.
I don't know if we're allowed to because we can't guarantee privacy on a Zoom call.
Okay. So if you will just let me know what works for everyone, feel free. Yes, I encourage you to talk to Steve and let me know when we can all meet.
Okay, thank you, Sissy.
Thank you.
We adjourn the meeting now. Any other discussion on Zoom? Or whatever? All right, I adjourn this meeting at 3:00 next, May, right after homecoming, in Big Sandy,
June 25th.
June 25th. Okay, thank you. June 25th, in Big Sandy.